Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are diving into a historic moment in life sciences. In January 2026, the tech and pharma worlds collided in San Francisco during the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference. NVIDIA founder Jensen Huang and Eli CEO Dave Ricks sat down to unveil a $1 billion co-innovation lab. This isn't just a business deal, it is a blueprint for the future of how we fight disease. But before we talk about the billions of dollars, we need to understand the crisis facing the pharmaceutical industry. For decades, drug discovery has been plagued by a phenomenon known as Eram's law. Eram's law is the reverse of Moore's law. It states that drug discovery is becoming slower and more expensive over time. Despite all our technological progress, the cost of developing a single new drug has doubled every 9 years. According to 2025 industry data, it now costs an average of $2.6 billion to bring a drug to market, and the failure rate, it is a staggering 90% once a drug enters clinical trials. Dave Ricks of Eli described traditional drug discovery as a work of art, an artisanal, painstaking process. He wants to change that. He wants to turn it into an engineering problem. This is where Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's massive computing power, come into play. To solve this engineering problem, Eli has deployed what they call an AI factory. This isn't your grandfather's server room, it is a massive NVIDIA's DGX SuperPod system. It features over 1,000 Blackwell Ultra GPUs, specifically the DGX B300 systems. The computing power here is over 7 million times greater than what Eli had in the early 90s. But why does a pharmaceutical company need so many GPUs? The answer lies in the complexity of biology, which Huang calls one of humanity's greatest challenges. Mapping the interaction between proteins and molecules is a task of infinite possibilities. Traditional methods rely on trial and error in a physical lab. With AI, scientists can perform these experiments in silico, meaning inside a computer. Using the NVIDIA's BioNeMo platform, Eli can simulate millions of molecules in one single day. They can predict how a drug will fold, how it will bind, and how it might affect the human body. Now let's talk about the $1 billion co-innovation lab in the San Francisco Bay Area. This lab represents a scientist in the loop framework. It bridges the gap between the dry lab, where the AI lives, and the wet lab, where the biology happens. Imagine a 24/7 continuous learning system. The AI predicts a new compound and agentic robotic systems in the wet lab immediately synthesize and test it. The data from those physical tests is then fed back into the AI to improve its next prediction. Machines are made to work day and night to solve this problem. But the ambition of this partnership goes beyond just finding new drug candidates. They are looking at the entire life cycle of medicine, including manufacturing. Eli is using NVIDIA's Omniverse to create digital twins of their manufacturing lines. This is crucial for high-demand medications such as treatments for obesity and diabetes. By simulating the factory floor, Eli can optimize production and ensure the supply chain is resilient. Huang also recognized a dozen leaders in the field during the conference, gifting them DGX Spark systems. These leaders represent the vanguard of AI drug discovery. Companies like Isomorphic, which is expanding the legendary AlphaFold models, and Recursion, which uses vision transformers to analyze massive amount of data. Even in silico medicine, which has already pushed AI-designed drugs into clinical trials. It is clear that we are entering a golden age of biological computing. However, I must also offer a word of caution. Is computing power a miracle cure for all our medical problems? Not quite yet. The biggest challenge remains the quality of data. Garbage in, garbage out still applies to the most powerful supercomputers. Biological systems are far more unpredictable than the silicon chips NVIDIA designs. A drug might look perfect in a simulation but fail miserably in the complex environment of human body. AI cannot yet replace the rigorous phase 3 clinical trials required by regulators. The bottleneck of testing drugs on thousands of real people remains a slow and necessary process. But even with these challenges, the trajectory has changed. Jensen Huang believes that in the next 10 years, we will see the same exponential growth in biology that we saw in AI. Hopefully, we can bend the arc of history, Huang said to the audience. The collaboration between a 150-year-old pharma giant and the world's most valuable chipmaker is a powerful signal. It tells us that the era of artisanal medicine is ending and the era of engineered healing is beginning. Whether it's tackling Alzheimer's or cancer, we are now fighting with the fastest tools ever built. Thank you for joining us today on this deep dive into the intersection of chips and pharma. The miracles of tomorrow are being computed today in the labs of Silicon Valley and the Midwest. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. Thank you.